Everyone in the band is amazing. Like, they really are peer musicians. Hi, my name is Matt Mead. I am the house band tech and music A2 for Louis Cato and the Great Big Joy Machine. Primarily, I take care of all the instruments, the guitars. I'm a certified guitar tech, so I do all the maintenance and cleaning and playing when I can. Louis Cato is the band leader and the multi-instrumentalist in the band. This is his station. He's primarily a guitar player and the lead singer of the band, but he does go around to different instruments, but primarily it's guitar and vocals. He's got one primary guitar. This is usually the guitar that starts the show and ends the show. This was a custom-made guitar by Michael Tuttle, who has made some guitars for a lot of Broadway players. Michael called us up and said he would like to make a guitar for Cato, and he designed it, a fully hollow Telecaster, chambered guitar, so it's super, super light, and it has Michael Tuttle's signature T90 instead of a P90 in the neck, and also just a typical Telecaster pickup in the bridge. The secondary guitar changes between 335 and a couple of Les Paul copies that he has, and whatever flavor he happens to be feeling. For the acoustic stuff, we have a Martin 0028, which does all the heavy lifting and detuning as necessary. The trombone, Cato doesn't play it a lot, but when he does, he picks his moment, and he's really good at it too. It's a pretty basic pedal board. I'd start from that area there. We have two different setups on here. The acoustic is really just goes from the tuner and then hits the radial J45 underneath and goes direct out. There's no other effects within the acoustic guitar, so that just goes direct out to house. The rest of it is an electric guitar setup, and all of the guitars on stage are wireless. They're on Axions that come from the racks over there. They come to the stage. They hit the radial reamp boxes because they help us to get a cleaner signal, and also because there's such a noise floor on the stage of the Ed Sullivan Theater that helps to boost the signal as well as clean it up a little bit. So after the radial reamps, it hits the AB box, Whirlwind AB, and switches between the SG and the Tuttle. Sometimes we have the SG out here, so it goes from the AB box to the tuner, tuner to the compressor, compressor to the wah, and then into the Donner Auto Wah that Cato likes. And then from the Donner Auto Wah into the POG, which he doesn't employ all that much, but when he wants to detune and do some octave stuff, he does that. And then it jumps from the POG to the OCD, and then over to the Bellstar, which we love. This was given to Cato by Dave Matthews. And this is the second one. He uses it a lot, and this is the second one. Super sturdy, great transparent overdrive pedal. Highly recommended. It's built like a tank. Goes from the Bellstar to tremolo, tremolo to the carbon copy, and then out to the amp. The soft reverb is through the effects return, send and return of the Vox AC31. This is a Vox AC31 that was inspired by Joe Walsh. When he was here to sit in with the band, we immediately got two of these because they sound so great. This is a talkback selector, so it bypasses the mic and just goes to the ears. We have three of the talkback switches on stage for the vocal mics. Cato is the MD, Louis Fouché, who plays sax, and Joe Saylor, who plays drums, all have a talkback mic, so they can talk about arrangements and what's coming, and how they can preview things before it it goes to the next scene. And it happens a lot. They do talk through what they're going to do next often, because sometimes there's a change in like a lot of other shows. We have guests that come on that have favorites. They have particular songs that they would love to hear. They have a theme that they're talking about, or a movie or something. And the band is lightning quick when it comes to learning something that they want to hear. Or Steven suggests, hey, is there any way you guys could do this? Or they might just mention in an interview, and they'll plan on doing it for their walk off. And it's really, really very spontaneous and very quick, but they're amazing at doing it.
So if I'm understanding correctly, this just allows for when they need to talk internally about getting some things.
Yes.
And what you're saying is that even during the show, they're kind of improvising, figuring out how to, what they should be playing or reacting. Or
Yes, yeah, there's quite a lot of chatter on stage, in ears, while the show's going on for future planning and, and current stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of talk on stage. They don't have full-on conversations. They really just get down to business. They make sure that they are respectful of the interview going on or whatever else is going on, and not distracting Steven in any way. Because they have so much material that they're doing and so much stuff off the cuff, they have a library of stuff that is here, but if it's not here, the band manager, Liz, she can send it to the laptop from backstage, and just like everybody will have it within minutes. There's 7 iPads on stage that everybody communicates with, so they can listen to the next upcoming song while it's playing on the laptop.
Now, what would motivate a change in music during the show that wouldn't be planned ahead of time?
What motivates changes are moods, or a change in some planned guest thing. Cato and the band are really good at sensing the audience vibe, and they'll change it up to make it fit, the context of the interview, or to lift them. And the energy level in this room changes based on the audience's responses to things. And there's some heavy themes sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's still a comedy show. They want everybody to laugh, and everybody does laugh. Steven is great at that. The band is great at supporting Steven and doing that. And really, it is about feeding off the energy of the audience. Everybody wants the audience to have a great time here, from our warm-up comedian to the people in here, the staff, the pages, coming from the top himself. The vibe all comes from the top himself. That's what it's really all about. And the audience feeds off of it, and we feed off of that.
So it makes sense that you're more of a bridge between the artists and the production and the kind of music team, since you're really supporting the people here.
Yeah, 100%. That's notable. I am a bridge. In a way, also, it's a unique position. For me, it was natural to be a musician and then to roll into production and backline. But I never realized how unique of a position it was going to be, and how little there's not a lot of guys in New York that do this. There's a couple of us. And I never realized how rare of a position it is for, a musician that can also do audio, but can also be a backline tech and kind of, toggle in between both worlds successfully and effectively. As far as being a tech, I'm a tech, but I'm also like a support member for the band as well. I'm pretty proud of the keyboard section, because with Corey coming in, we didn't have the space laid out for Corey. Everybody had enough space. They had enough space. And for me, the spatial thing is kind of one of my mastery classes, and trying to make sure that they all have enough space. And I've struggled with getting them all enough space on this stage. And, it's not all my decision. It's the decision of production also. It's the camera shots. We had to kind of jog them around a lot to try to find out, how do we get them set up so they can all see Steven, and Steven can see all of them from his position, and how can they all be facing the audience but also be facing Steven? So we played around with it a lot, and this is what we've got. We can start with the Moog Voyager. Corey is an amazing keyboard player, and very particular about what he has, but he's like some old school. He's got some old school mentality, and he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. You know, when Corey was joining the band, I was trying to figure out what he wanted, and we wound up settling on the Wurlitzer. Partially that's because that's what the MD wanted, to cover the gamut of sounds. It's kind of like an in-between, can kind of cover all the ground. Since then, I'm changing all the reeds on it when they break, or replacing them if needed. So I do a little maintenance on the Wurlitzer. Not my specialty, but it has become. Juno, Corey's pride and joy, and it's a very unique instrument for all the keyboard players who know. They know. Novation 61 SL, it's just literally a MIDI controller. And this is kind of like the utility piece that changes position every once in a while, depending on what the band is doing.
I see Ableton up over here, which I assume.
Yeah, Ableton Live is basically just for the utility stuff. And, you know, he's got a small screen, but he's got better eyes than I do. But, you know, most of it's, you know, universal audio patches are in there. Some of Corey's own, you know, personally carved out sounds. But it's good. It's the way he's got it set it up, you know, the way we have everything set up is, you know, it goes through an Apollo X4, that hits audio. So it's really, you know, we call this keyboard the Apollo for, you know, just for music purposes. Everything has a name, rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, we call them by name, and that's how we refer to them. And on top of that, Corey is also a pedal geek, which I love also, because he does have a couple pedals for effect. And the Mooger Fooger, you know, obviously you'd think that it's going through the Moog, but no, it's not. He has it going through the Whirly. So the Wurlitzer gets all the fun effects. That's the Mooger Fooger, and then the delay over here. So no delay, just basic Whirly, and then with all the bells and whistles. So it's got some presence to it, and this is what I like to call the fun machine. We get a lot of questions about the bass pickup on the upright bass. This is a Yamaha CP quarter 20. It sits in, like, this is the pickup. The thumb wheel is the pickup, and it's tandem. I mean, it's really in mono, but you get both the bass and the treble side of it. It's the absolute clearest signal that we've had so far. When we first got the bass, it was warm, sounded warm, but it didn't project very well. And through a series of repairs and rebuilds, now it sounds great, it feels great, and the pickup is the biggest game changer out of everything.
And that looks like it goes wireless.
It is wireless, yeah. Most of everything on the stage is wireless. We did try to have her do a direct signal, even though she doesn't really move around. She moves the bass around a lot. And I tried to keep a pretty clutter-free stage. I try to keep the wires out of their walkways. If you look around, there isn't really any paths that anybody has to cross, except for this one, but nobody walks through there except for me. So I worked hard on trying to make that happen over the years. So let me take you to my office, what I call the Matt Caves. Welcome to a sliver of the outside of the building that I turned into a sort of workshop, and I needed a space to, like, keep some supplies, and there was this little container sitting in the corner of the room that I picked up and repaired and turned into kind of a workable space, as much as you can call it. I mean, literally, this door was a door from the Ed Sullivan Theater that used to open out into the alleyway, and they turned it this way and jammed it in here, I guess to make room for the set that we are sitting behind right now. So this is what I call appropriately the Matt Cave. This is probably the biggest toy section of all on stage. This is Nega Santos's area. She plays everything so well and tastefully that I love it. Over here we have a timba, which is, I think, the big brother of timbales. Super loud. She absolutely hammers it, and she plays it better than anybody I've ever seen. For background stuff, she's got a hand sonic. Here's another interesting part about the hand sonic. Hand sonic is basically, you know, percussion machine. You know, you can program it to sound like anything, and it's very realistic. She's got a kick pedal here that she can operate, whether it's a conga, a gyro, a cabasa. She can do anything with the foot pedal. She can program it any way she needs to. All the pads are reactive. And the cool thing is that like the talkbacks that everybody else has, we have the phones jack bypassed, so it only goes to her ears and mine, of course, so that she can program stuff during the show when she needs to call up a percussion instrument that she doesn't have here. Just when you think she doesn't have everything, she finds something else that she needs, and she'll pull it up on that, and it'll be out in the next section. So here's our horn section, starting with John Lampley on trumpet. He goes by Lamps. That's his nickname. John plays with a bunch of other bands as well, but he goes by Lamps. He just got the horn pack, which attaches to the front of his trumpet. John also does anything that comes up on the tuba, also does a lot of backing vocals. Louis Fouché plays sax, and he mans all the auxiliary percussion over here. They both sing backups. Everybody in the band sings. They're all fully capable, really, really good players. And more importantly, they're all great people. You know, that's the vibe of this band, and really it's the vibe of the show. This is like an extended family that's just grown closer and closer and closer. So it's really a privilege to be here and work with the people that I do work with. I love my job. I love playing. I love being able to come in. I mean, you know, any tech will probably tell you the same thing I'm about to say, is that this is the most I get to play guitar most of the time. I played guitar all day long. I fix guitars, I tune them up, I play them. I couldn't ask for a better job.